Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing another university video, and this one is just going to be an overall view of university as a whole and looking at the pros and the cons of going to uni if you're deciding to go, if you're thinking about potentially going back to uni or doing a master's or something like that. So these are just some pros and cons that I have thought of and I wanted to share with you. So if you're interested in hearing about what they are, then please keep watching. So I wanted to start off the video talking about the pros of going to uni, all the benefits that I can see and that I've felt going to uni, because there are a lot of pros. I know it might seem on my channel sometimes that I'm potentially talking about uni quite negatively, talking about like the job prospects afterwards and the realities of life after uni, which is all very true. This is everything, this is just my experience, how I felt, but there's also so many pros of going to uni. I just wanted to share just in one video my thoughts on the pros and cons of university as a whole. So like I said, starting with the pros, obviously the biggest pro is getting a degree, finishing after 3 or 4, potentially 7 years, and having that higher education, that degree. Another pro that I've put is this degree is like a blanket, a safety blanket in a sense, for a career that you can always fall back on because you've studied it, you've got some sort of experience, some knowledge within that field, so it is a safety blanket for a career. A lot of these pros and cons might kind of conflict and contrast with one another, but I will kind of explain those as I go through them. So yeah, number one, you get a degree at the end of it, you're getting higher education. The second pro, which I've kind of made a list, and these are all the things that have come to my mind straight away. So if I'm looking down, again, you know what I'm like, I always make lists, is the life experience. And I know I've talked about this before as well. I probably will be like repeating myself from other videos, but I just wanted to make this video to put everything in one. Is the life experience. I know a lot of people that haven't gone to uni, and this is not at all to shade them or to put people down that haven't gone to uni, but I do find that the people that didn't go, I don't want to be mean, they are a lot more sheltered. And what I mean by that is potentially they didn't go to uni, they're still living with mum and dad, they've definitely got more money in the bank than I have because they've been saving, but they potentially have never lived outside of the place that they live in now and never will. And I think what uni does is it forces you to come out of your comfort zone. Like I've said many times on my channel before, I've moved around quite a lot, I've lived in different areas, so for me moving somewhere else and having that experience isn't necessarily something new. But I think for a lot of people that have potentially, let's say, only lived in London their whole lives, to go and live somewhere else outside of London is a whole new life experience that they probably wouldn't have had they have not gone to uni, because they probably, once they finish uni, are going to go back to London and that's where they're going to live because that's where their family are. And it's the same with people from where I lived in Rugby. There's potentially people that have been born and bred, live in Rugby their whole life and will never move out of Rugby. And I think uni gives you that experience to just explore different parts of the world. And even it might be not, it's not the most exotic, like going to Nottingham, which is like an hour away from where I live. But for some people, living somewhere like that is completely different to where they would have lived back home. So having that experience of moving from potentially a very small village, a town, to a big city, that is a huge life experience that you can take with you, and I can survive somewhere else that isn't home, or I can do this or I can do that. So yeah, you gain the life experience of living somewhere else and also living alone. And unless obviously if you went to uni but you didn't live in the accommodation, you're still living at home, this won't apply. But this is just my pros that I've seen and I've experienced going to uni, is having that experience of first living in a flat with a group of people that I wouldn't have chose to live with, that I didn't have a choice in living with. So living with people that you wouldn't necessarily have chosen to live with in the first place, that is a huge test, and I think it really kind of makes you more well-rounded as a person to be in that environment and to I've never lived in a flat before, so that was a new experience for me. And yeah, just living with different types of people, figuring out what you are like to live with, what other people are like to live with outside of your household, because you potentially have only lived with the same people your whole life. So then moving out of that environment into a completely different one, I think that gives you so much experience and life lessons to take forward with you in the future, which if had you have not gone to uni, you wouldn't have got. So yeah, living alone and also being independent, having to do the washing up, having to wash your own clothes, having to cook your own meals, having to schedule, okay, I need to leave her house at this time, get the bus into uni then this, that and the other, I need to take some lunch with me, and then when I come back I need to figure out what I'm going to have for dinner, so I might prep something. Having that whole experience, again, builds you up for life, or when you are living on your own, or when you do have your own house. Because if you had not got that experience, potentially you move out of home where mum and dad have done everything for you, and then you're on your own for the first time ever at potentially your mid-20s, and you are stuck at that point thinking, shit, I've never done this before. Whereas if you've gone to uni and then you eventually move out and get your own place, you think, oh, I know how to do this, I did it when I was 18. So just having more life experience and yeah, living alone, being independent. Another pro is, of course, meeting new people, making new friends. I would have never have met my bestest friends had I not gone to uni, because I don't go to London, which is where they live. So I wouldn't have bumped into them. I can't see us ever like crossing paths, because why would they come to Nottingham if they'd not gone to uni there? And likewise, I'm not particularly like a huge London fan. I've never fancied living there. So how would I have bumped into them? I wouldn't. So meeting people that you would never have met before, meeting different kinds of people. So again, broadening your mind to new people, new places. It's just a huge pro of going to uni, and a huge reason why I wanted to do it was one, because I really wanted to move out, but I didn't have the funds to do it at 18, so it was kind of like the perfect opportunity. One, because I wanted to get a higher education, and two, because I wanted to move out, so it was like the perfect opportunity for me to have all of those things in one. And then I met my best friends out of it, so again, a massive pro, new people, and coming across people that you probably would have never come across before. So another huge pro, like I said, is moving out, discovering a new city. Potentially you're moving out somewhere that you've never been before. Like I'd probably been to Nottingham once or twice before coming to uni. But even then I'm thinking, like, have I gone to Nottingham before? I'm not sure, because it's not somewhere that I really would go there every weekend shopping, because it's an hour away, so I had different places to go. So would I have gone to Nottingham before? I don't know. And people are potentially discovering these new cities and towns that they're studying in and thinking, oh my god, I love it here, I want to live here. And then from uni they would then look for jobs within that area, and then they move there, so their life has completely changed from having that experience. So that again is another big pro. Obviously another one is the new opportunities. Going to uni, like I said before, my uni Nottingham Trent offered so many different opportunities for students. For example, one of mine was going visiting the magistrates court. They did day trips that often, listening to live cases and seeing things in perspective. I would never have had that opportunity. Yes, you can go and visit the courts. Any normal person could just go and sit in the docks. Would I have just spent my days just going to court and sitting in the docks if I'd not gone to uni and studied law? No. Why would I have done that? But doing that, getting the experience, meeting people in the industry, is creating these opportunities and these networking for you to build upon. No, I didn't really take the biggest grasp of those opportunities when I had them, but looking back, they were such huge opportunities. The uni's always offered like placements within businesses that were specifically for uni students, or placement years which the business would not have offered to somebody else, like a normal person. It was just for uni students. So again, they offer those kind of opportunities for you to network, build up your experience, build your skills, potentially find a job in that sector, because they've offered these opportunities as a student. So yeah, the new opportunities, not only like opportunities in terms of career and that kind of thing, new opportunities for you and yourself to build up your skills. So uni offer loads of things, be like a student advisor or in a law firm, which I took that opportunity. So I had the chance to work in the law firm at my uni, offer legal advice for free. So I had an opportunity to do volunteering, which again, would I have volunteered had I not gone to uni? Probably not. It wouldn't have crossed my mind, but having that opportunity is more of a personal growth as well as career was really good for me, just to see things again in practice, put things into perspective. And yeah, just having those opportunities at uni is something you would never get offered to you had you have not gone. Obviously, another pro is the better paying jobs are more available if you've got the degree, because you've got the higher education, so they assume you've got more knowledge, you've got more skills, you've been studying something for 3 or 4 years, so you've got kind of this experience, knowledge, and kind of this upper hand over somebody else that hasn't gone to uni. And if you look at two CVs and people have got the same experience and the same skills, like the same personal qualities, at the end of the day, the employer will pick the person with the degree over the person without one. That isn't to say that a degree isn't everything, and I will move on to that when I come to the cons. But if two people, looking at them on paper, on CVs, same amount of experience somewhere, similar personal qualities, but one has a degree and one doesn't, they're going to take the person with the degree. So that is kind of another pro, is of course the better paying jobs, and having these, obviously you go to uni to get a higher education, to get those better paying jobs, and that's why you eventually start paying your student loan back, because they expect you to earn a certain amount to pay it back, which we all know doesn't always happen. But that is the kind of idea of everything, is that you go to uni to get a better job with more money, so you can pay the money back to get this better opportunities and higher education. So another pro that I think for going to university is it tests your abilities. It tests your abilities mentally, intellectually, and personally. So like I said before, it tests your abilities mentally. So it puts you in scenarios and situations which you'd never have been in before. Living with new people, living in a different area, it tests you mentally, it builds you up as a person, because you're having to do things on your own. You can't just rely on mum and dad to always figure things out for you. You're having to handle your own money. Are you going to potentially get a part-time job so you can support yourself a little bit more? All those things are really going to test you as a person and make you more well-rounded, because you're in a new environment, you're doing something on your own, and you've kind of moved out of the family household and you are on your own in a sense. So it really tests you mentally and builds you up, and of course intellectually. You're there to study a degree, and I was definitely tested intellectually across all 3 years, having to do my own research, finding out how to use databases, how to properly use computers, Word, Excel, how to use, like I said, databases and research, and to put that all together into one document, how to write professionally, even small things that they taught me, how to professionally write an email, how to write letters, how to address certain situations and scenarios, which, like I said, if I'd not gone to uni, I wouldn't have known that. And they're just basic life skills, how to write a letter properly, because a lot of people don't know. They put the wrong sign off, or they put, do you know what I mean? There's just things like that that really test you intellectually, obviously with the degree side of things, but also just basic life stuff that they teach you, which I didn't know before, such as writing letters and writing emails and addressing clients and customers, which again you would learn that if you were in work, you would learn that on the front line, but having a bit of preparation and people telling you, look, this is what employers actually like to see, this is how it's done professionally. It just gives it a different insight. And then you also tested for your abilities personally. Of course, you're moving away from your family into a new city, potentially it could be quite far away. That's going to test you as a person to see how it is that you survive and how you deal with stuff like that. Whilst I was at uni, everybody has their little things that they go through, and it really tests you because you're not just around the corner from your family. Luckily, I was only an hour away. There's a lot of people that were international students. They can't just fly home when something goes wrong. They have to learn how to deal with things on their own, to really lean on their friends that they've made, and potentially, if they have to, lean on the university opportunities and services that they offer if they need counselling and that kind of thing. So it really tests your abilities mentally, intellectually and personally, which I believe if I'd not gone to uni I wouldn't have been tested like that. But when I say tested, I mean tested for all the right reasons. I think now it's definitely built me up more as a person and prepared me more for real life, because I just don't think I would have had that if I'd not gone to uni. So that's another pro. Another one that I've written down is widens your mind to completely new people, subjects and jobs. Similar kind of things really. New opportunities, new experiences, new people, new places, new subjects like you're studying. Yeah, you meet people from all walks of life. You're having conversations that you probably would never have had before. You're having debates that you wouldn't have had before. And it really just, I think from what I've learned from going to uni is I've really found out who I am more as a person, because I've seen how other people are, how other people live, how other people deal with stuff outside of my household and how my family deal with things. And I think, oh, okay, well, I wouldn't have done it like that. Or this is how I deal with things, this is how I prepare for things, this is what's important to me. You think, okay, so that's completely widened my mind to different people, different things, different subjects, and it obviously widens your mind to different jobs as well, outside of the jobs that I would have had if I'd not gone to uni. So again, that's another pro. Another pro is essentially things that I've already touched on. It explores, what have I put? Explore more than what you potentially only know in your whole life. Essentially, like I said before, some people will be born and bred their whole family, which again, this is not this is no shade to anybody, but like for example, my boyfriend's only lived in this one village his whole life, his whole family live in this one village, and I think it does people a lot of good to come outside of their comfort zone and where something they've always known, to go and live somewhere else, to go and see other places, to go and see other things outside of their potential bubble that they've known their whole life. And a lot of people are like that. And I'm quite jealous in a sense that some people have only lived in one house their whole life, in one area their whole life. Their whole family is literally 5 minutes away from them. But if that's all you've known, that's kind of all you'll amount to, which again, that's not to be like harsh on people that do live like that and have only known the town that they live in. I'm just saying, I think that to explore more than what you've only known your whole life can only be a positive thing, because you just see other places, other people, like widen your mind and your horizons to places and things outside of your own bubble, which I see that as a pro. And again, the last one, which I said before, your degree is a safety blanket for a career that you can always fall back on, because you've got this advantage of having more knowledge and skills and a degree in a topic. So that's my last pro that I can think of. A degree is always a safety blanket for a career. So those are all the pros. Now moving on to the cons of going to uni. Again, the biggest one, of course, is the amount of debt that you get into. But you get into that amount of debt, like I said, because they expect you to get a better job to pay all that money back. But not everybody does that. And this is what I wanted to touch on when I said about the pros, is most people don't actually use the degree they studied in the career that they end up going into. And that is just the plain reality that at 18, you are meant to choose a degree that you will go into for life, and your career path at 18, you're meant to know that and pick that topic, study it, love it, pick a job, go into it, and that's you for the next 60-70 years. You're meant to know that at 18. And that's why I think why a lot of people don't use the degree that they studied in their career, because I think you have to go into the industry to actually experience it, and you don't do that until you finish uni really, unless you do a placement year, but by that time it's too late, you're already at uni. So for me, one of the biggest cons is that you could do all that studying and get into all that debt, and will it pay off? It's a risk. Of course it's a risk. You're not going to know that until you've graduated and you're potentially in that job role, or you finish the study and you think this is not for me at all. And that's why a lot of people drop out. They start studying it and think not for me, don't want to carry on doing this, don't want to waste a couple more years, just want to get out now. So that is one of the cons, is a lot of people don't use the degree in their career. Another con that I've put is the degree is only useful if you study a job specific degree. And what I mean by this, if you're studying teaching, you're studying teaching to be a teacher. If you're studying midwifery to be a midwife. If you're studying medicine, you're studying medicine to become a doctor. That's what I mean. You're just studying this to become this specific job role. So it's almost like you're doing this and then this, and then you go into that industry. You know exactly where you're going. But for the other for the other degrees, like I know mine is business law, and people would say, well, okay, business law, lawyer. Not necessarily, because that's why I didn't choose a law degree specifically. I chose business law because it isn't just business, it isn't just law. Both sides interested me, and both sides were careers that I was open to going into. So business is a whole range of job prospects, which on the one hand is great, so many different things you could go into. On the other hand, not so great, because there's so many jobs that it's like, what specifically can you go into? Do you have to do more training qualifications to be more specific in that career that you go into? So yeah, I have found having a degree that isn't specifically one job related can be a bit of a con, because there's just like, I don't know what to go into. I know right now that it isn't law because I have to do 3 more years of training. I don't want to do that, and whilst I was studying I realised that I prefer the business side. But then again, it's the same sort of thing when I'm looking at business related jobs. They're wanting me to have other qualifications for business that I don't have. So it isn't as straightforward as going to uni, getting the degree, going straight into the job, unless your degree is one job related, like midwifery. Yeah, so that's one of the biggest cons that I've found, is I feel like at the minute that your degree will only be useful if you study something that is specific to one job. That's just my experience, that's just how I feel. It's probably because I'm not in a job right now that is very specific to my degree. So I could have a bit of like a bitter feeling towards my degree right now, but that is just my con that I can think of. Again, another one is the pressure to find a better paying job. People expect, well, you've gone to uni, you can't go to uni and then just to become an administrator, otherwise what was the point? You think, yeah, I know, but it is so hard to try and find a job. And I've done videos all about post-uni life, and if you've watched those, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's just another con that I've wrote down. Another one is, I feel like from going to uni, because you have all this studying and you're doing this, that and the other, and then you finish and then it's like, right, got to find a job. And that's where people will be when they were 18 who decided not to go to uni. They're like, okay, finished my education, now I've got to find a job. Might take them a couple months, might take them a year, 2 years to find that job, and they kind of start from the bottom potentially and work their way up. And I found actually it's still kind of the same once you finish your degree. You're still looking for jobs which are pretty low down in the ladder, unless it is, like I said, one job specific. Like teaching, you go in to be a TA and then you become a teacher. But for a lot of other like degrees, you're still having to find jobs that are bottom of the ladder, things that you probably would have applied for when you were 18 before the degree. And then you're still, even though you've had the 3 years of studying, having to start from the bottom, work your way up. So I feel like what I put down in my con is that it puts you 3 years behind everybody else. So I feel like now I'm at the stage where a lot of people were when they were 18, trying to find their job, trying to save. So if I had not gone to uni, potentially now I'd be in a higher position, earning more money, looking at the prospects of moving out very soon. Whereas now I'm still trying to find that job that is more career focused and career based. I am saving for a house, but it's going to take me a few more years because I'm on a basic salary. So yeah, I do sort of feel like it's put me 3 years behind everybody else. Like, for example, my brother hasn't gone to uni. He is 19, will be 20 in September. So he's at the stage now where he's in his career. He's luckily found a trade, he's saving, he's definitely earning more money than I am. And you just think like, would that have been a better choice for me to go into something more, not a trade, but like if I'd gone to an internship or done an apprenticeship in something, would I have been potentially a lot better off now, be in no debt, be in a higher position, looking to move out and start my own life? Maybe, but I mean, you can't always reflect back and think, what if? Of course, I'm grateful for going to uni, and I've loved the experience that I've had. But I can't help but think now that I do sort of feel like I'm 3 years behind everybody else and having to catch up, and things will work out a lot later for me. So I do feel like I'll be getting my house later than people who hadn't gone to uni will be buying the houses, that I'll be having my children later because I've got to find that career, build everything up. So I really feel like everything's been pushed back a couple of years because I've gone to uni and now I'm starting again. So that's just one con that I've put down, and it might be different for everybody. That's just me. Like I said before, trying to find a career at 18 that you'll do for the rest of your life, I think that is one of the biggest cons. How are you meant to know what you want to do for the rest of your life at 18? Your life is barely begun at 18. So yeah, that's another con that I've put down. Another one, again, the post-uni blues. I will link that video down below. Another one that I've put down is a degree isn't everything. Trying to gain experience can be more valuable, which I've said before. Essentially, I know now that I've finished uni and I'm applying for jobs and looking for jobs, and I've looked through so many what employers expect of you, and they're looking for a year or 2 years experience in places, and I don't have that. Obviously I don't have that. I've just finished 3 years of studying. Where do you expect me to get that experience from? So I do feel like potentially, say if I hadn't gone to uni, I'd now got 4 years experience in somewhere, and I'm looking to go for something a little bit more high paying, and I'm up against somebody that had gone to uni with a degree. Me having 4 years experience versus them with a degree but no experience, they're probably more likely to take the person with the experience who actually knows the industry. Although the other person has the degree, I do feel like at times that the experience is actually more valuable, and that's what employers will pick over somebody that's got a degree, because they actually know the industry, they've experienced it, they've got, you know, the years that it just proves what they know, and they can go in there a lot quicker, learn things, pick it up. So yeah, a degree isn't everything. I think experience can definitely be more valuable. So that's another con, is a degree isn't everything, which is what I've learned post-uni. And the last con that I've put is still a sense of having to work from the bottom up and could have done that at 18. Again, I've sort of covered this already. I'm still looking at jobs which are quite bottom line, although I've got the degree and I've applied for a lot of jobs. I did think that I'd get snatched up. That's what I got told at uni. You'll get snatched up because you've got a degree. And that just hasn't been the case. Whether it's just me personally and everybody else has thought, no, people have snatched me up because I've got a degree, I just don't feel like that has been the case for me. So there is still a sense of having to work from the bottom up. And I could have done that at 18, but now I'm doing that at 22. So that's just the last con. So I just wanted to kind of finish the video off with some tips if you're thinking about going to uni, studying something that I wish I'd told myself, which is, don't just pick a degree for the sake of having the uni life. Go and visit your mates, if that's the case, that are at uni and you work. Look at job prospects, look at the degree that you're studying. What jobs can you go into after that? Do you have to potentially do more training, more education, get more qualifications, or can you go straight into the job from graduating? And also, do they offer an internship or a apprenticeship in the thing that you want to study, as opposed to going to uni? Because that way you don't get into the debt, and you get the experience and you get the skills all in one. So they are just a couple of tips that I would say if you're thinking about going to uni, if you're thinking about studying, but you really just want to weigh up what are the pros and cons, what are the good things about going, what are the things that you don't necessarily think of straight away when you think of the negatives of going to uni. So I just kind of wanted to put this all together in one video. Like I've said before, I know that I've mentioned quite a few of these points before in other videos, but I just wanted to put it all in one place for people that really aren't sure what the pros and cons of going to uni, and just these are some of the ones that I've thought about, and it's just my personal opinion and experience. So that is it for this video. I hope you all really enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you next video. Bye.